All right, welcome guys, and welcome to I think this is episode 8. So if you're noticing a difference in the Photoshop layout, my bad. I recorded the other parts of the course and found out that this particular episode was busted, so I had to do it over again. So let's just get right into it anyway. So I'm going to talk about the text tool, and I'm going to talk about how you can use it and utilize it on your projects and utilize it to make really cool graphics. So first of all, you need to understand that if I wanted to type this thing, all I needed to do was just click here, or I press T. So here's what happens if I press T. So when I press T, it automatically selects that tool, and I just type what I need, and it will automatically appear on the screen. Now there's so many things I could do, because as you can see, this doesn't match this. So I want to sort of make them match each other. And the first thing I notice is that I need to adjust the size. So what I do is I open the transform tool by pressing Ctrl T, and the tool comes out, and I just scale it. Now watch what happens as I scale it. It's scaling kind of weirdly, right? So what I used to explain to people is any tool you're using on Photoshop, just understand that if you press Shift, it will give you a different option. If you press Control, it will give you a different option. If you press Alt, it'll give you a different option. It's just a variety of things. So if you're stuck and you need to figure out how to do something, just do one of those things. So let's just go back. So I'm going to press Ctrl T again and just drag this holding Shift so that it stays aligned, and I'm just going to hold it till I think it's about right. And I'm going to, so here's the cool thing, and I'm really glad that I made that error. So what you want to do is you want to hold Shift and then release your mouse first before you release Shift, because if you don't, here's what's going to happen. So let's say I drag this and I'm holding Shift and I release Shift, so it's going to scale to one weird way. So if I wanted to skew this a bit, I just wanted to maybe bend it to one side, I could press Control and then do this, and then maybe go back, press Ctrl Z to go back, or I could press the Alt key and then it will scale both sides of this. Now if I press Shift and Alt, it will scale it in the exact same sizes, but increasing the, not the size actually, in the exact same, I would say, dimension actually. So if I was going to also make edits to this, let me just go ahead and close this panel so that you will find out how to bring it out. Let's just close the tab group. So let's say, for example, I want to edit this. I've already made this what it is, and I just want to edit it. So what I will do is I will click this text tool, and you see this thing over here that will pop up this character panel. We've talked about panels in other videos. Just go watch those videos and understand how panels work. And I could use that to change the color, change the hue of the color, and pick something. So this is white right now, so I'm just going to change to a different color. You see? So if I change anything here, my color will change. So there are a bunch of other options that I have access to on this character panel. I can use for bold, which basically makes it a lot more bold. I could use italics, which slants it to a side. I could use all caps. So what this will do is turn every single text into all capital letters. So let's go. So you see what happens. So if I remove that, if I do this, it will basically make the text appear in small caps. Like the first letter will be big and capital letter, but all the others will be small. So I'm just going to take that away. This is going to put it in superscript, and this is going to put it in subscript. So you know how you do raised to power, and in mathematics there's like base 10 and all those things. So this is how you basically get those functions. This is going to give it an underline, and this is going to give it a strike through. So I'm just going to remove this and remove this, so just you can see. So this one kind of does some real cool stuff. So it basically says, and the reason why I want you to see this is it basically says, where's the baseline of this text going to be? For example, if the baseline is on the 0 point, then it means that the text is going to sit on the exact same line. So let's say this is the line where the text is. You can see this line, right? So if I increase the baseline, the text is going to go up, but that part at the bottom is still the baseline. So there are a lot of cool things you could do with that. If you take our other courses, I would definitely take my time to show you those things. Then this basically increases the scale vertically. So if I reduce this, just watch what happens to the text. See this? If I take it back to 100, the text becomes normal again, just like that. And this is how we basically, this tool is how we adjust the kerning between two characters. So here's what happens. If I maybe make this, like I can only set it to metrics or optical. So kerning basically simply means the spacing between these characters, just two characters. For example, let me see if I can make that edit. So see what happens when I use metrics or optical. So that's how I'm editing that. So the reason why is you would notice that before it kind of looked like it was far from each other. So it was ruining the way my type was arranged. So I could just use kerning to make them come closer. So this looks more organized than this. So what I'm going to do is get this and change it to optical. It's going to drag that in a bit more. So it looks like the spacing is equal right now. So another thing is the tracking. So tracking simply expands this, basically it expands the spacing, but it's different from kerning in the sense that kerning is between two characters, right? The spacing in between two characters. So just gonna bring this back to 0. Then I'm gonna use this to do the spacing. If I was to type, this is like the vertical spacing. Watch what happens if I go down and type blah 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 blah. Then I'm able to only do this. And if I come in here, I will just see if I change that, it changes that. And this basically just increases the size of the text or reduces the size of the text. So there are a bunch of things you could basically do with this. And we're just going to set this back to auto. You could change the weight of the text. You can make it light. You could make it bold. You could even change the exact font of the text. So we could change to Oaklash, for example, and see the text is just different. So at the same time, if you want to find this panel, you could come to Window and you could go to, where is it? Character. That's the panel, exactly. So just click character, or it'll basically pop out. So there's still a bunch of things you could do with text, and let me just show you some of them. So you can warp text. You could basically make text follow a path, see what's happening. You could do some really cool stuff. You could rise. You could do some really cool stuff. So that basically brings us to the end of this particular lesson on text and how to use it. So watch out for the next lesson. All right, guys. Bye.